There's no doubt in my mind who was the biggest disappointment at the weekend, barring Southampton, of course, and their 9-0 defeat at home to Leicester. On Saturday, Plymouth went down 4-0 in a Devon derby at Exeter, and I think it was an awful result when you bear in mind that Exeter had had 2 long journeys to Cambridge and Scunthorpe in the week prior, that they were beaten 4-0 and 3-1 in those matches and were probably beginning to doubt themselves and question themselves a little bit. But his interview afterwards was very, very revealing for me. Because he talked about, he understands what the Devon derby is all about, and that, that basically he knows what it means to the fans. But then throughout the interview also gave many indications that he doesn't really know what the Devon derby was all about, or didn't care much for that side of it, for the bragging rights and the pride of it. Now, he's such a philosophy manager that this was very similar to last season with Bury. He's got this philosophy, he's got this way he wants to play, he's got some talented players at his disposal, and over time he will get there. He will get his philosophy right, and his team will play some of the best football in League Two. I expect them to get stronger and stronger and stronger as the season goes on. But in the meantime, I guess part of getting that philosophy across, and part of getting there where everybody's so in tune with what they're supposed to be doing, and it's the same every week and it can be difficult to stop. A big part of that is you make no compromises along the way. And he did this last season with Bury. Bury had some really tough away games where some of the worst teams in the division sussed out that if you basically played 3-5-2 and essentially 5 at the back and just sat behind the ball and really a low block and congested, that Bury had no answers. They were creating virtually nothing in those sorts of games. Remember, they went to Notts County and drew 0-0. I think Yeovil played it as well, and there was a few games in it in a succession of matches where they were really failing to put away some poor teams. And Lowe was just not changing his substitutions, his formations. Nothing changed. And they just hammered away at a brick wall and doing the same thing over and over and over, and not expecting different results and not getting different results. As the season panned out as a whole, you could say that was the right way to go about it, because ultimately Bury did go through the gears and did become that team towards the back end of the season that were hoovering up points and nailed down one of those automatic promotion spots, and they came with real momentum at the end of the season. And that was potentially because they knew that Lowe was not going to compromise on his tactics or formation. He was deadly serious about the way to play. Now here we're seeing it in a Devon derby that he's just treated this like any other game. He's made no allowances for the fact that it's a derby game. He was asked the question afterwards, did you think your players really knew that this was, went into this, that they couldn't handle the intensity that Exeter brought from the beginning of the game? And he just held his hands up and said, I don't think that we matched what was necessary on. But it's all come from his messaging in terms of this philosophy. He wanted to play it like a normal game. He just wanted to go out for them to, express themselves in their foot. But married to that, as part of that, there's also got to be some intensity. It is a derby game. You don't just get to turn up and stroll through it and play your football, and emotions are going to be running high, and if you think that you're beyond letting your emotions get into it, then you're going to be mistaken in most derby games throughout the country. When you turn up on that day, it just feels different. It feels different, and to think that's not going to affect League Two players, and they're going to turn up at St James Park and not feel the different energy about the place, and the fact that the fans, there's so much hostility and the players in the Exeter's start was crucial to them because of what they'd been through in the week prior, the 2 long journeys, the fact that they'd lost both games. Matt Taylor said afterwards, it's absolutely essential that we scored the first goal. We had to be patient, but we had to play with a real intensity that they would struggle to match. And it worked a treat. Plymouth just never got going in the game, found themselves chasing, leaving themselves open later on. And to listen to Lowe afterwards, he was asked one question. He said, we've ruined people's weekend. And one reporter turned around to him afterwards and said, but this is going to linger for months with the fans. It's months now till we get to play Exeter again. And he refused to accept that was, you know, that it was just like it was silly to even contemplate worrying about this game for more than this weekend. Now that to me suggests that he doesn't understand what it meant to those fans and as a derby, because it will linger, it will bother them. And the fact that he's refusing to acknowledge that they should even be concerned about anything beyond this weekend, losing 4-0 away at Exeter, it's a misunderstanding. It's something he's got to be careful of, in my opinion, because I think if he doesn't get the results, you know, if results aren't kind in the next few weeks, this could come back to bite him with the supporters. You know, there's a job to do, and it's all right when things are going well and saying how many people are turning up at home park, and you know how good it is to have this fan base that really gets behind the team and stuff. But sometimes you've got to meet them halfway, and this was a real big game for Plymouth fans, and they've let them down. But worse still for me, I think Lowe's refusing to acknowledge that they've let them down. You know, more so than what it is. He's not seen the size of the fixture for what it is. So I think he's got to make amends in the coming weeks with the results. I think this is a result that could come back to haunt him if things don't all go his own way in the next few weeks, and he struggles to get this philosophy bedded down, and Plymouth struggle to do themselves justice. If the fans begin to turn, I think it will come back to this game and the fact that he didn't identify with them as well as he might have done. What an important game it was for them. So an interesting few weeks ahead for Plymouth, but I think in this instance, I think it might be part and parcel of what makes Plymouth a better team later in the season and the cohesion that they'll get because of the no compromises of the way that they want to play games. But I think in this individual instance, I think he's misread the signals, and he's not in touch with what was expected of a derby game from Plymouth.